Analog horror, we all know it, we love it, we certainly have been traumatized by it. Yeah, great stuff. If you happen to not know what analog horror is, it's a subgenre of horror that draws heavily on the style and aesthetics of vintage analog media, such as VHS and cassette tapes. This might just be me, but horror movies just don't really cut it anymore, so I started to engage with analog horror communities. And as you spend some time researching these stories, you eventually make a realization. Analog horror, in a lot of cases, just isn't fair. At least from the perspective of the people trying to survive these entities. This video was heavily inspired by Sunflowers and Mr. Mirage's videos, and with all that said, I bring you analog horror scenarios you wouldn't survive. Hold on, before we start, let me put on a more fitting look. Alright, so first of all, let's step into the Office of Wonders and take a look at one of my favorite creatures on this list. If you're at least somewhat familiar with the analog horror community, you probably already know who I'm talking about. The Boiled One. Imagine this. It's Friday evening, you just got home from a long day of school or work. You sit down to watch some TV and just catch an episode of a nature documentary. You start to relax, but then, all of a sudden the show is interrupted by an anomalous broadcast, with what looks to be demonic in nature, red disfigured creature speaking horrible things, to none other than you directly. By now you're probably scared shitless and looking around the room paranoid, feeling watched. The Boiled One's voice and the image of its horrible face are permanently burned into your memory, and you keep on hearing the trumpets. It's just like the anomaly has said. You will hear the trumpets play their happy sounds. Overwhelmed by fear, you can't sleep. What if the other things it said are true as well? You don't want to fall asleep, but you eventually do. You were too tired to even think. The very memory of my face will cause a manifestation of my being. You will be asleep in bed, and I will be there and watch over you. When you wake, you will not be able to move any part of you. When your doctors eventually find you, they will not see me, but you will, and I'll see you too. Forever, I'll see you. You wake up. It wasn't a dream. So after seeing this broadcast, you will start to see hallucinations of the Boiled One, until you eventually fall asleep. And when you wake up, you are unable to move any part of your body except your eyes. I imagine this in itself is already bad enough, but it doesn't stop there. As you lie paralyzed, the victims have reported seeing the Boiled One all the time, speaking to them and feeding on their spine, which I imagine causes you to be paralyzed. The reason this one is at the lower side of the list is because this broadcast was only shown to around 500-something people, and the method to stop these effects taking place after viewing the broadcast was also put together. However, it only works in most cases, so it's not guaranteed. The method greatly increases your chances of survival, but at the time of the broadcast taking place, this wasn't yet known and the whole incident was covered up, so the chances of you knowing what to do are slim to none. And this is not even mentioning that maybe no one will find you paralyzed in your bed, unable to do anything. Next up is a series that really grew on me and got me into all of this analog horror stuff, and I think will most likely top this list as the worst and deadliest one. Also, if you haven't figured it out yet, this video is in no particular order. Stone Cold. If you watched this series, you already know why this is here. In the Stone Cold series, we are introduced to a new virus, called the Medusa virus, which seems to want to deprive humans of all their senses. The virus is spread through eye contact with the infected and takes effect immediately. During the first stage, you have a choice. You can have your eyeball surgically removed to stop the virus, or not do anything and enter stage 2. At stage 2, the virus becomes incurable and also blinds you. So your choices are between going blind or going blind painfully. The reason I say that is because your eyeballs will literally explode. So we can't look at people 1 sense down, but we can still listen for people nearby. Right. Actually, no. The virus is now infecting birds, which makes them get together to attack humans and make noises so loud people will quite literally go insane. It's said in the emergency broadcasts that hearing this will make you lose self-control. But how the hell did this spread to birds? Ooh, silly me, I forgot to mention the virus is airborne now. so we can't listen and we also can't smell, since the smell will hypnotize and infect you. Well, at least we can still eat our spaghetti. Nope. The virus is spreading to crops in a form of thick black sludge, which prevents crops from growing, so there are food shortages all around the world. Oh, and did I mention 3/4 of the population have already been erased or infected? So what do you do when you can't rely on vision, taste, smell or sound? Touch, or at least, that would be the case if the virus didn't mutate. A new strain is discovered that when infected makes you feel like someone is holding you by the neck and breathing in your ears, even though no one is there. With 5 of our senses down, food shortages, and the only possibility being to wait in your home for your unavoidable demise, you truly wouldn't survive this scenario. Next one that I think is pretty close to the previous one is the Mandela catalog. Specifically, the alternates are the ones you wouldn't survive. If you somehow still don't know who the alternates are, let me run it down for you. There are 3 types of alternates. Type 1, that look almost completely identical to humans and blend in almost perfectly. Type 2, that are still very similar but have slightly off-putting features like 2 big eyes or distorted faces. Then there's Type 3, which try to look human but absolutely suck at it, since they have impossible body shapes and features. But even if you manage to spot one, that won't help you much. I mean, not even firearms can hurt them. But the scariest part to me is how they don't kill their victims themselves. Let me explain. Upon discovering your fears, alternates get to you and infect you with MAD or MAD, which stands for Metaphysical Awareness Disorder. This disorder is contracted by being told information that is not desired to be known. For example, our place in the universe. After knowing this information, 97% of cases go crazy and cannot comprehend the information, so they are driven to take their own life. See, alternates won't physically kill you, but do something much worse, and after you're gone they'll replace you, and same will happen to everyone else, eventually. I really wish I could go more in depth on the topic of alternates, but that would mean I have to go deeper into the lore of the entire series, which I might do in a separate video. Well, look at the time. I will see myself out of here. I should probably bring Josh back anyway. Until next time, humans.
What the fuck was that?